Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Tuesday evening. This is a bonus episode I decided to kind of make. Didn't dawn on me till this morning when I was at work and I was checking some social media stuff. Today is the 30th anniversary of the first Brickyard 400, August 6, 1994. Pretty big day in NASCAR history. I was there that day. My dad, my brother, a few of our friends. We had 8 tickets total, so we took a couple vehicles down, camped out, and what people locally know as the Coke Lot for the day. And we did cook up breakfast, lunch, and dinner while we waited on the race to start and waited on traffic to file out. We got to the Coke Lot at around 6 a.m. that morning and left the lot at maybe 7:30 that night. It was almost 10 o'clock by the time we got home that night. So it was a very, very long day. So as you see by the thumbnail and description, I've had this for quite a while. You can see that I taped it shut because it was actually coming loose a long time ago. I thought this would be a great day to go ahead and just open this up, let the cards breathe, and let's look at these. I don't know that I've ever even seen the set. I've seen individual cards, but I want to see the set, so it's a blank back cardboard. I'm not worried about the value of this because, like I said, you see the... I had to tape it shut to keep it from falling open. So let's get ripping and let's see who and what's in this set. Of course, this is 1994 high-tech. They kind of came on board in the card industry, and you can see those cards are a little, got a little rounding on the corners, a little dog-eared just from where they've rattled around that package. But race winner Jeff Gordon's going to start us off. We're not going to front and back all these. Matter of fact, these aren't even in order, so we're just going to look at these cards and keep on trucking. Jeff Gordon, they're the winner of the first Brickyard 400. Of course, Ernie Irvan was on point to win, but had some troubles late in the race. And some of these might be from the tire test in 93 as well, but there's Terry Labonte, had a good run in 94. Of course, in 1993, Jimmy Hensley and Jeff Bodine drove the car in practice the year before the first Brickyard. There you see USS Indianapolis. This would be probably Lake Speed in that car at the time. There's Mikey with a horrible haircut. Kenny Wallace, he ended up breaking his shoulder blade in that practice session. Ted Musgrave. Here we go. Jeff Bodine, Brett Bodine during this practice. So yeah, these are kind of the cards that reviewed the practice session from the year before. Sterling Marlin, Jimmy Spencer. Marlin drove for Stavola. Spencer drove for Bobby Allison. Jimmy Horton was driving the active trucking car for Dean Myers. Kyle Petty is next. Let's see if they have a picture of the active car. Yeah, there you go. Don't get to see that one a whole lot, but a nice looking car. There's Kyle Petty. Greg Sachs was driving for TriStar 93. Like I said, these cards are reviewing the 93 practice session that led into the 94 Brickyard. You got Brett Bodine here, Mikey. I believe that's P.J. Jones. I'm not for sure who was in the 9 car at the time. I'd have to look that one up. That for sure in the 14 is John Andretti. Got Mark Martin, Dave Marcus back there. D.W. bringing up the rear there. Had Derek Koch driving for Cale. There's Spencer and Martin. Then we have a speed list here. The drivers that topped the speed charts didn't have the rights to use Bill Elliott's name, so they just used number 11 Budweiser Ford. And there you see the back half of the field. Richard Petty did go out and take some laps, but they were more ceremonial than anything. Rick Mast, DW, Bobby Labonte. Again, some of these have pretty scuffed up corners, but they'd make nice TTMs. There's Lake Speed with Larry Mack. Mark Martin. Rusty had a good run in the first Brickyard. That's a nice picture with the tire, the Speedway logo. Got Rusty there looking a little bit mad about something. Mark Martin. Car owner D.K. Ulrich. He owned the 77 car that Sachs drove in the first Brickyard. There we have Lake Speed again. He was in the Haviland car in 93 after Davey passed. Harry Gant ran the first Brickyard, and it would be his last Brickyard. Rick Wilson driving for the King in 93. Looks like you got Martin, Todd Bodine, Derek Cope, and Bobby Labonte all right there. Dale Earnhardt. The Bodines. Of course, 2 of the 3 made headlines at the first Brickyard. There's the 11 Budweiser car. Of course, that is Bill Elliott. And you'll see that, look, they quoted him, but it says driver number 11 Budweiser Ford. Again, they didn't have the rights to use his image, his likeness, or his name. Brett Bodine, the runner-up of the first Brickyard. Bobby Hillen, who ended up driving for Bill Elliott and Charles Hardy in the first Brickyard. Morgan Shepherd. Now these are starting to stick together back here a little bit. But Mark Martin, Gasoline Alley. Then you have Sterling Marlin, Brett Bodine in the pits with the old pylon. Of course, the new pylon is raised up, and it has the 33 plus 2 additional spots at the bottom to accommodate the NASCAR scoring. Jeff Bodine, Morgan Shepherd, Ken Schrader, first time seeing Kenny today. There's Todd Bodine looking like he just woke up. Rusty Wallace. And the UV coating on these, you can hear that where they're sticking a little bit. There's Ted Musgrave and Jeff Hammond. Always think these are some cool shots. So you got Lake Speed, Jimmy Spencer, and Jeffrey Bodine there. Jeff Bodine. There's Johnny Andretti. First time in a Cup car at the Indy test. Dale Jarrett. Very, very young Jeff Gordon. Dave Marcus. What do we have here? Cars coming out of Gasoline Alley. So, a lot of different... And they used to send them out at the end of pit road like that. Now they just come out at the middle, I think. I really don't recall how they do it. Brett Bodine once again. Number 11 Budweiser Ford. Of course, we know that's Bill Elliott. Mark Martin. Johnny Andretti. Does it mention John on the back? Yes, it does mention John. We have Greg Sachs. Greg Sachs once again. Bobby Hillen. Of course, in 1994, that car would be driven by Mike Wallace, but it would not qualify for the Brickyard. Morgan would return to the 21 car. Bobby Labonte would return in the 22, but it would be a Pontiac and not a Ford for Bill Davis Racing. Once again, the number 11 driver. And look, they even airbrushed his signature off the roof. DW. That would be Terry Labonte. So you got to look closely, but there's no Tide logos on it because Labonte had just signed to drive the 5 car for 94. But Tide was going on with Ricky Rudd. There is Kenny Wallace's team. Dave Marcus. Dan Young used to be a local Chevrolet dealership. So even for a practice session that was not going to be televised, Dave Marcus did get somebody to give him some funding to be able to make the testing happen. Dan Young Chevrolet that was on 96th Street and Keystone Avenue is now Penske Chevrolet. And that's kind of ironic because Marcus used to drive for Penske. Dale Earnhardt, and that's a wonderful photo right there. It's framed nicely with this logo, but to have the Speedway logo right there behind his car, that looks phenomenal. Jeff Bodine. I want to say that's P.J. Jones, but I could be wrong. Nope, it is P.J. Jones. And then we have a checklist. So, interesting little set. Again, I thought it was the Brickyard review set but that's actually the following year that has highlights and pictures and so forth. But still, that's a really cool set to look back at. And to think that it's been 30 years since the first Brickyard 400. That's hard for me to imagine. I wasn't quite 18 years old at that time, but it was still pretty cool to be part of the first event. I can't explain to you the atmosphere, the electricity, just that whole day. Spent a lot of money on souvenirs that day, and that's when they actually had each driver had their own souvenir hauler. It wasn't, okay, we have the Hendrick merch hauler, we have the Penske merch hauler, the SHR merch hauler, and the Toyota driver's merch hauler. No, it was, you know, each driver up and down the grid had their own merch hauler, and even the drivers that didn't qualify, their haulers still stuck around, you know, trying to sell whatever they could, plus all the independent and individual dealers and merchandisers and vendors and so forth. But that was a really, really fun experience. And, you know, it's a shame that it's not the same atmosphere, but it's a different time, and I get that. But, you know, hopefully at some point in time, it'll be more like the way it was, where you could go down and you know, you had to get to the track 4 or 5 hours before the start of the race, or else you weren't going to find a parking spot within a 1.5-mile walk. And totally different now, where you can get there 90 minutes before the race, park in the lot across the street, and you're good. So, very different times, very different atmosphere, very different energy, and I do miss that. But, again, hard to believe it's been 30 years since that first Brickyard 400. So, hope you guys enjoy the video. As always, thanks again for watching. We will see you in the morning again with our diecast reviews from the flea markets over in Ohio. So thanks again, and we will see you in the morning.